The Master Sorcerer throws up his pocked, cracked arms to defend himself as you step forward.
These are values I always believed in.
Dallis groans in pain.
I have failed. The future of all that is rests on your shoulders.
Well then, this is, as they say, it. I never dreamed that after all this, I would be standing here with one of your kind. Let alone that I would be proud to do so. I cannot imagine someone I would trust more with divinity, including myself.
Fane lays a bony hand on your shoulder, squeezing gently.
Do you know, I believe you will.
So here we are. The end of it all. Nobody I'd rather see this whole thing through with. I trust you. I trust your judgment. I know you will. I know you, remember? You're the best damn friend I've ever had. Well then, let's do this.
Listen, this is it. Again. And I want you to know I'm not putting up a fight, not against you. My revels are now ended. Yours are about to begin. I've had my vengeance, my life and my liberty. You helped me win them back. And then, when you told me you loved me, all of me awoke. All I want now is for this to end. To be by your side when we wage the final battle. And long, long after. I know there will. Now kiss me.
You kiss each other passionately, ready to face the darkest dark. You think back on your journey here, on all that you have seen and done. You think of the Magisters, and the sorcerers they hunted, and of the good and the evil on both sides. You think of how the Eternals came as Voidwoken to reclaim their stolen world. You look at the source around you. The power is immense. Divinity at your fingertips. You think of what you could do with such power. The rights you'd wrong, the wars you'd win. You marvel at your journey and how it has changed you. You think of those you left behind, and of those you met along the way, who stood by you or against you. It's time to choose your fate, and the fate of all you hold dear. What shall it be? Shall you be divine? After all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Ehteram lies in front of you. Divinity is yours to take, or to sacrifice. What you do next decides your own fate and the future of the world. What shall you do with divinity?
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the godworker. When the dust settled, no new divine had risen. Instead, all source was released into the world for all the people and every creature to share. Everyone was now a sorcerer. And united, the peoples of Rivellon pushed back the God King into the very depths of the void. This ushered in a new golden age of peace and prosperity. But alas, it was not to last. With many greedy for wealth, power and position, the struggle soon began anew. Source, the very language of creation, was used in violence once more. The never-ending contest for power continued. As for me, I was freed of the tyranny of the God King. To atone for my sins in this world, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly. I would tell the story of the Godwoken to anyone who would listen. The story of the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever known. The heroes who chose not to close the veil.
Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. A Godwoken. But what good is it to be Godwoken when Source is now a free-for-all, and there is no divinity to be had?
Complaining will get me nowhere, however. Not in this state.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask. From here, she looks almost angelic.
Well, here we are again. You, me, and the ship I've saved from ruin for your personal benefit. I'd say you owe me, but why state the obvious? Get an eyeful. I expect it's the last we'll see of each other for some time. I have a lot of planning to do, now that there's not to be a new divinity.
She drums her fingers testily on her crossed arms.
All that work, all that effort, tossed into the gutter like a malformed child. You say that now. Let's see how you feel when you realize the true implication of a world filled with sorcerers. Never mind. I'll find another way. I always do.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it. But instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. Sacrificed much. And I'd have given even more to see you fulfill your destiny.
She looks you up and down.
I guess this will have to do. Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. The same way I do everything, of course. Demonic guile. Oh, I don't know. Around and about. Treat myself to some mead, a lover or 300. I'd say we've earned it. Perhaps our paths will cross again. Perhaps not. Until we find out.
A world full of sorcerers. That's quite a thing. But don't worry, darling. You're still special to me. Reform my ways? How adorable. No, I'm afraid I cannot escape who I am and what I've done.
Her eyes flick down to your mouth. She smiles coyly, then slinks forward to kiss you. Her mouth meets yours and devours you with predatory abandon. Somewhere in the recesses of your mind, you think you hear her voice sigh, "Mine." But then the kiss ends.
Something to remember me by, darling. Who knows? A nice cottage someplace quiet for Mahali and I. A roaring fire and a feather bed. Maybe. Maybe. But a girl needs some fun, doesn't she?
I feel weird, like I've got ants crawling in my belly. There is a matter I must attend to, however. My payment for all the stuff I've done for you. That'll be...
He taps his fingers and mouths silently while he counts, until he arrives at an acceptable figure.
1,300,000 dozen and 50 gold pieces. Now pay up. It is so. But if you can't pay me in money, then I'll just have to insist you keep me on until you can. So, what position can you offer?
Han ponders your suggestion for all of a second.
Okay, I love being all sneaky and shh. Well, yeah. But you better believe the bill for that will be a doozy.
Lohse smiles broadly and casts her gaze over the ship's top deck. She sighs, relieved, and nods.
Source of all, eh? A bold move, I'll grant you that. I didn't think anyone considered the little people anymore. I don't know yet. Perhaps peace will reign and all will be equal. Or perhaps you've bestowed great power on undeserving children and turned them loose on each other. Time will tell, I'm sure. That is the question, isn't it? How does one top the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived? I might have the answer to that. Tell me, have you ever heard of Gustafsson? No, of course you wouldn't. It's a written language, unreadable to most, but myself naturally. It comes from a mysterious race from another world, beings that feed on minds. I intend to seek them out. This Gustafsson seems to guard portals to their realm. And once I've uncovered one, well, why settle for being the greatest mind in just one world when there's another for the taking?
beast's spirit smiles as you approach and begins to sing a tune you think vaguely familiar.
Here the wild beast just sails on the ocean. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Off on the yawn you hear the commotion. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. The cupboard can't hide you, nor can your berth. His daggers don't care about the gold that you're worth. He'll bury your bones neath a mountain of earth. He's docked in the bay and coming your way.
He pauses, then continues to hum, all the while working his ghostly whiskers.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again. I will always be an ally to those that carry swords, to those whose blood is of the heroes of old, and so, as always, I am at the ready.
She is full of surprises. My wood was splintered, but my spirit intact. It was a great feat, but given her skill, not a surprising one. I feel better than new.
Fane is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He leafs through it slowly, muttering to himself.
I see. Intriguing.
He glances up at you, big, empty eye sockets taking in every detail.
Well, well, there you are. Another fine specimen of your kind. A little leaner than when we first met, and a little less divine than you'd hoped, I imagine. As do I, it seems, whatever that life might be.
Fane looks back down to the book, a bony finger running across the embossed leather cover.
It could have been different, you know? I could have saved them. I could have found a way. No. I imagine you can't. I imagine no one can. But the cards were dealt, and my people got snake eyes. Or something. I never took the time to learn how the average Rivellonian entertained themselves. Then again, you are no average Rivellonian. Not after this. So, what do you think you'll do now that we live in a world of minute divines? I never thought I would wish for silence again after the tomb. But I rather agree. I hear there are some nice beaches in Rivellon, though. Fort Joy is probably lovely this time of year.
The skeleton hefts Hubert's dog-eared encyclopedia, its weight heavy in his hands.
I've been rereading this book, looking over your history once again, poring over every detail with a new perspective, and do you know what? It's shit.
Fane tosses the book over his shoulder. It flutters in the air as it sails over the ship's railing and disappears with a faint splash.
If you have spent your life staring at a thing, you can write about it with knowledge. You can write about it with love. But it is almost impossible to write about it with wonder. You creatures have spent your lives trudging about this world, and you've grown blind to its miracles. Truly, good heavens, you hide it well. I'm not sure your people really look at things like animals anymore. Take otters, for example. Energetic, waterproof cats, utterly beautiful creatures. Or octopuses. Did you know they're secretly octopuses? Octopi? Octopods. Oh, I shall have to look that up. Regardless, the world is filled with absolutely incredible sights. And who better to catalogue them with the awe they deserve than someone seeing them for the first time? Do you know, there is the idea that nothing is ever truly created or destroyed. I suppose we are all Source, just in different forms. You being the cruder, less jewel-encrusted form, naturally. But my people were Source too, although we didn't know it at the time. And our Source helped create you. In a way, I was walking alongside the best version of them the entire time. In you, I found a home better than the one I was pining for. Thank you, Godwalker.
Ehteram beams at you, his blood-streaked face more jubilant than you've ever seen it. He reaches out and pulls you into a bear hug, clapping you on the back.
We did it. The odds were against us. Hell, the gods were against us. And still we did it.
He reaches out his hand to grasp yours. Source crackles between you and in the air all around you. The world has changed.
Now we'll see something. We'll see what happens when everyone can harness their own divinity. Me either. I knew it. From the first time I met you, I knew you were special. And this proves it. With a world full of sorcerers, we should be able to make short work of the Voidwoken.
Ehteram nods, but his mind is elsewhere already. He looks different somehow. A vestige of command has returned to this ex-soldier.
We'll need supplies. Source-forged steel, war owls, a central command from which to run sorties. What do you think? Is Arx the right location?
Seeing the look on your face, he laughs and shakes his head.
Old habits die hard. But I'm willing to bet these Voidwoken will die harder.
With that, Ehteram salutes you. He whistles up his soul wolf and strides off to make arrangements, looking from head to toe every bit a leader of men.
So, here we are, my darling. Sorcerers like everyone else in the realm. A bit boring to be so unexceptional all of a sudden, isn't it? Then again, I suppose they can't fit all of us in Fort Joy. They haven't all met me. Ah well, some things just can't be helped. That quite depends on you, I suppose.
She laughs, and it's music to your soul.
We want each other, after all. We love each other, after all. Let others play the game of gods. Love conquers even divinity.
nothing interesting down there. The future lies above, not below.
Shall we sail?
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. The sails flutter in the wind, just as they always will. And yet, something is different. You are different. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. You speak the command to the Lady Vengeance, and another chapter begins. The world was at peace, at least for now. With its significance as the seat of divinity diminished, Arx fell into decline, and within 7 generations had emptied. Few were as prepared for the new world as the lizardkin of the ancient empire. With power spread equally throughout the world, the advantage lay with those who knew how to steal it, and at this the lizards excelled. With their queen dead and the Voidwoken gone, the dwarves held the greatest party in the history of dwarfdom. A new king took the throne, the local brewer. 6 days later, he was stabbed to death with a mutton fork. With their power returned, the elves reclaimed their lands from the death fog and began to rebuild. Soon they would split as 2 factions sought power, one to bring back the trees, the other to bring back the scions. A dwarven joke did the rounds. It ends with the punchline, "So Lucian dropped the death fog on them again." Only the elven Godwoken could bring the elves together once more. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoubt of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a centre of industry, trade, and transport. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. You would never forget Dorothea's kiss. Dorothea herself left Driftwood for the ancient empire, ever in search of the perfect kiss. She never found it, although once or twice she came close. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. none of the captains could articulate why. Millennia later, adventurers would come in search of the legendary divine city of Arx and the crypt of the great Lucian. None would pass the path of blood. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaili settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. With the source released to the world, Ahu the wizard spent more and more time as a cat. One day he decided he would not change back. Mordus scratched out a living, ending up as a short-order cook. After an epiphany arising from the phrase, sunny side up, he started a religion. Upon his death from food poisoning, all 3 of his followers committed suicide. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end. So he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. After it burned down, with Jehan inside, witnesses claimed that the flames were the color of blood. As the forests grew anew and the elves were equals at last, Sahala shared elven knowledge of Source with the world. But some elves disagreed and plotted against her. Chief amongst her opponents was Tova, Sahala's own mother. As Source flooded Rivellon, Thane set out to record everything he could of this new world. As he travelled, he kept a socket peeled for signs of the Eternals, hoping to find the wife he'd lost. He's still looking. With a small band of elves, Ifan Ben Mezd replanted the lost elven forests. After the first fresh shoots broke the earth, he disappeared and was never seen again. Some say Afrit, his soul wolf, walks the forests still. Sabine wandered the world. She became a household name, famed the realm over as a traveling hero, celebrated wherever she went. Enjoying life to the fullest, she was truly and finally free. And then there was you. You returned to the world a sorcerer among many. Your future was yours to decide. Did you accept your new status with humility? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.